Hello friends, I'm here to talk about a lot of stuff, the cashless society, a few things that go along with that they are trying to push and they are in motion with giving us that. Not like we want it, but that's just what the end game is. Like I had said on a previous video, their run trial, this starts January of 2021, it's right around the corner. And they want full implementation of 100% cashless society by 2025, if not sooner. So with that being said, I ran across an article here that said Allegiant Stadium, which is the stadium in Nevada that was going to host the Raiders, and that is a 100% cashless stadium. So they will not accept any form of cash, change, dollars, anything like that for anything inside the stadium itself, any kind of merchandise, any kind of beverages, whatever, that's all cashless. So with that being said, I do know for now they say, well, for people that want to use cash, they will have some sort of machine or ATM-like machine on site where you are able to exchange cash for some sort of card or something there that they're going to have in operation to make it cashless. For any of the stuff inside the stadium itself. So I just had this article here that I read across, and that just made me think, well, I know this is happening, and it's not really publicized. It's not out there that much, so people aren't looking for it or watching it. Just will not know it until it's here on top, and there's nothing they can do about it, and nothing they could have done about it to prepare if they didn't know prior. So that's my big issue with this, is I'm trying to get people alert and people ready to preserve their wealth and help preserve their situation. So digital dollars, just imagine digital dollars, there's no more cash. So that means if you are, example, borrowing money to somebody, well, if it's a cashless society, how does that work? You're just going to give them, somehow transfer some digits from what your digital wallet or whatever that is that they have to theirs, and then with that, now the government knows, probably the central banks know, anyone that they deem fit knows. So does that mean if there's a lot of time there, if they don't pay you back from that loan that you've given them or the money they borrowed from you, will they, on their next year, their annual tax thing, are they going to get that some sort of 1099 or something else that comes to them and saying, hey, you owe this because you made X amount of dollars, which you really didn't, you just borrowed the money, but it's not accounted for anymore from the person you got it from. As far as they know, you've gotten it. You got it, so you have to pay a tax on that. Or is there some sort of borrower's tax or lender's tax that they're going to have with this? So if your child crashes up his car, big accident, he didn't have it fully covered. He had insurance, but he didn't have full coverage on it, so no collision. So now he has to get to college. It's been paid for, whether you paid for it or your child did, or you both are working on it. He has to get to college, he has to finish out the semester, or whatever the case may be. He needs a vehicle, and nothing huge, but he found one that his buddy's selling, and it was $2,000. It's a deal you can't pass up. So he wants, you say, Dad or Mom, can you loan me some money so I can get this vehicle, so I can get back and forth to college and or work? You do that, cashless society, then what? Are there repercussions for that? Does the state need to know all that stuff? Absolutely not. But if they do know it, what are they going to do about it? Are they going to try to tax that, or tax any sort of lending tax or borrower's tax, or like I said, are they going to put it on what he got, that yearly's income, that extra $2,000? So instead of being a lower tax bracket, that just pushes him up to the next tax bracket. So now he owns a higher percentage of his dollars, his wage. Whatever. I digress on that, but also I know they're out there. They're talking about they want the Social Security is, there's no money in it, even though they've opened that up and they've been spending it for years. They don't save it like it was promised in the very beginning. That's a totally different system. What was passed and promised to the people. There's so much resistance, but it's a different deal than it is nowadays. And they say that it's insolvent and there's no money there, and it's going to be gone by year XX, 20XX, whatever it is, and there'll be nothing in there. Well, what happened? I mean, I pay in, you pay in, everyone else is paid in for that. Forced. It's not like you have an option to say, no, I don't want to pay into Social Security and I won't receive it if I get on disability or I retire. I don't want that. There's no option for that. You are paying it no matter what. So I'll relate this to other taxes that have been put in place for different things. They never go away. Same with this, Social Security tax. So that's something that's going to be gone, and they're just taking it, and they want to do that with some sort of program to do that with your IRA, your 401k, and get control of that so they can dictate, manipulate, take from that all or some of it. That's what they are looking to do. So with that being said, once we're 100% digital, it's a cashless society, what is going to stop them from just, if they don't like what you're posting, they don't like what you're doing, they don't like what you've done, they don't like anything, they don't approve of stuff, something or another. People who you associate with, they don't approve of stuff. Well, is there going to be a blip and all of a sudden, well, you lost some money? Because it's just digits now. They can easily just delete some digits, or they can easily take some digits from you and put some digits somewhere else, or they can just take some digits from you and somewhere else. There's nothing there saying that you have that money. And think of it this way. You have money in the bank, or the credit union, whatever the case may be. That is legally not your money anymore. That is not your funds. Those are not your digits, really, your currency. Because the stuff that was written in 2012, and I think they've updated it since then, says the bank or the lending or whatever, the credit union has full control of that is there. Because you're lending that to them. That's how it's written. You put money in the bank, it's no longer yours. You're lending that to them. It's like lending something to your son or your daughter or somebody you know. It's no longer yours. They do with it what they want, and that's what the bank does. So the bank doesn't, let's say you put $1,000 in the bank. The bank takes that and doesn't put $1,000 in your account. This is, John Doe's account. Here's the $1,000 that he deposited. This is where it stays and doesn't move unless he tells us otherwise. No, absolutely not. They just put it on a ledger. They just mark, all right, John Doe deposited $1,000. There it sits. They take those funds and then they do whatever they want with. It's gone. They borrow to someone else, lend to someone else. They spend it on other stuff that they're looking for, whether it's bills, like T-bills or something with the Federal Reserve, whatever. It's just a big deal. So they do what they want with it until you go to get it from them. That's treated as an I.O.U. It's not in there. But they think, well, if he ever comes back for it, we'll get it because we have ways of getting it from other people or from the Federal Reserve or whatever. We'll have it. So they don't hold it there. It's the same thing with Social Security. And that's the same thing how this digital dollar, or whatever they're going to call it, is going to be. You have stuff in your account in the ledger that it says it's not there until you go to use it or need it. If it's there, they put it there. If they have it, great. If they don't have it, that's where the problem lies. That's where the run on banks came from, decades ago. There was run on banks because there was really not a good standing with the Federal Reserve, a backstanding, solid backstanding. Not saying they're good, but I'm just saying that's how run on the banks happened because everyone wanted all their money at one time, or most people did, and the bank didn't have it. The bank wasn't able to do that because they don't keep that money in there. So with that being said, that's the same thing that's happening with the digital dollar. And if you think that, I mean, it's endless of what they can do with it. Endless of how it's going to turn out. My opinion, it's just a fully control society scenario that they want to get past and they've been looking for forever. And any chance they get, they're going to take. And they're on their way to do it. You think about it, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, ask yourself, do you think the government will shut down? Will they shut down most businesses? Will they say you can't go to church? Will they say you can't go to a concert? Will they say your son's football games for high school won't happen, or gymnastics, or whatever the case may be? That won't happen. And on that, did they say you're going to be under house arrest? Or they call it quarantine, but it's basically house arrest. And then they say you're not going to be able to go out of your house or drive somewhere unless you are going to work or something essential that they deem fit. Are you not going to be able to work if your job is not considered essential? You're not an essential employee. On that note, I say everyone's job is essential because it's essential for their living. It's essential for their life. But if they deem it's not essential, then, do you think the government would do that? Well, the government did do that. The government took almost everything away. Did they say you're not going to be able to get together with large groups of people for whatever the case may be? 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I would have said you're crazy. Well, that's what happened. And that's how fast it happened. And that's how it can happen with the digital dollar or the cashless society. That once it's there, they do a slow boil, but they jump at every opportunity they can to justify huge changes and huge, freedoms they want to take away, or huge stakes that you have in the ground, and uproot them and pull them out so they get control of that. So that, I remember when I first started getting interested in gold and silver, geez, this is probably 10 years ago, I mean. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was just starting to get into money and finance. I wasn't taught that in high school. No one is. Wasn't taught that in college. No one is. And it was just something that just sparked in me, and I just felt like I needed to learn about this thing that's huge in life, because you can't get by without, money or currency or, your finances. That's a big deal. That you're not taught. You're, I believe, purposely kept aside and not shown anything. But I called the bank that I belonged to for a long time, and I started with a bank, and I asked the lady who answered the phone, the teller, and I said, can I purchase some gold or silver from you? And she said, no. She sounded confused. I don't know, what are you talking about? I said, well, like a gold coin, a 1 ounce gold coin, or a 1 ounce silver coin, or something like that. Do you have anything like that for me to purchase? She said, no, I'm not too sure. So I could ask someone. I said, never mind. I hung up the phone. I called the credit union that I belonged to for a long time. I asked them. And the teller answered the phone there, said, no, we don't do that. We've never done that. Banks don't have gold or silver, or don't deal with that. But I do know, I think it was her brother-in-law or her brother-in-law's brother or something like that. She said, I do know he deals with gold and silver or something like that, and those type of things. And I said, well, could you let me know how does he get into it? How did he start? She said, I don't know. I just know he's spoke of it at different gatherings. So right there, I got off the phone, and I thought banks or credit unions or both knew about money and finance. I thought that was the place to call. That was the place to talk to. That was the person who should know, because obviously they do it. They deal with money and finance, monetary stuff. I'm like, I knew no one else to call. I had no clue. I didn't know who to call because I wanted to learn about it and get into it and figure out if this is right. Well, thank goodness for the internet. Nowadays, back then it was a lot harder, but I started researching that, and then from there I went from there to books, and I've read a ton of books, and after I went through all this stuff, and it's a never-ending deal. I'm constantly learning on the subject, but I found out, and I felt sort of ripped off from all those years I spent in high school, middle school, elementary, and college that I paid for. That no one told me anything about this, and it's an essential thing for life and living. But anyways, that's a whole nother subject, and I could get into that some other time, but I was just thrown back that someone who dealt with money or a bank, credit union, didn't really know anything. So with that being said, I just want to say it's coming. They got stuff, they're trying to pass it, and they are passing certain things. It's going to be here before you know it. Like that stadium, the Legion Stadium, this one in Las Vegas, it's already here. It's cashless. And it's coming. So what I've done, my family's done, and those around me that I try to help with this, is it's all about assets. Gold and silver are great. You can actually trade, if you want to call it, exchange goods for that kind of stuff if we're in a cashless society, cash-free society. That's great because everyone recognizes gold and silver, and silver is used in a lot of electronics, that kind of stuff. Same with gold, has a lot of uses. So everyone wants it and needs it, even though they don't know it at the time. But also, I know years ago I started dabbling and looking at cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. I haven't done a ton there, but I think that's probably another great avenue to look down, which I have been doing, looking down. But I do know I ran across an article also that said Bitcoin is the 6th largest currency in the world. The 6th. Think of all the different countries that are out there, and all the different fiat currencies out there, and all the different exchanges that they use, the ways to exchange goods and services out there. And Bitcoin is the 6th largest currency out there. It's the it's the 6th. That's huge. So if that's going to go somewhere, and it looks like it is to me. It looks like it's been around for some time. It looks like, banks, I believe it was China and Russia and a few other ones, have invested a good amount in Bitcoin, I do know, and they're using that to back some of their fiat currencies or that kind of stuff. So that's maybe another good avenue to look at. But as always, you always want to be prepared ahead of time. So as always, thank you for watching this video. And stay vigilant, protect yourself, and protect your health.